Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. We have Mr. Reyes to go.
Thanks everyone for attending today's presentation. Company is American Shared Hospital Services, ticker symbol is AMS. I like to sometimes refer to our company as a MicroCap, novel MicroCap. Thank you. I'd like to just ask, do we have any current shareholders of American Shared? Well, thank you for your investment. Anyone else? And I assume everyone else is maybe interested in investing in our company. Does anyone have any other interests in today's attendance here today? Okay, wonderful. All right, let's get going. We have our typical disclosure on forward-looking statements. Hopefully, nothing is said that is untoward, I'll say. We have a very senior management team that we've compiled that's very experienced in this space that we operate in, which we'll describe here very shortly. We've got executives like Craig Tagawa, who's been with our company for 37 years. We've got Gary Delanis, our current CEO, that was the Chief Operating Officer for U.S. Oncology, 21st Century Oncology, 15 years as their Senior Vice President of U.S. Operations, overseeing 140 radiation therapy centers in the United States. Radiation therapy are centers that treat cancer. When patients have cancer that need radiation treatment, that's what we do. Scott Frick is our new Chief Financial Officer. He's got many years of experience in our industry as well. Oops. Ranjit Pradham came from one of the OEMs in our industry, very experienced. Greg Mercurio, over 30 years, or 40 years in the healthcare industry. Ernest Bates Jr., Vice President of International Sales and Marketing, also 25 plus years of experience. We've compiled a very good team with a lot of talent, a lot of capabilities, a lot of experience to make a move in our company and position it and grow it and sustain its profitability. Why should you be interested in investing in American Shared? Oops. One, we're growing. 23, we had revenue of 21 million. We increased our revenues almost 33% in a single year. Our EBITDA increased from 8.2 to 8.9 million. We have 6.7 million shares outstanding. Our market value at those December 31 dates were 15 million and then 21 million at the end of 24. The stock market was valuing our company at 1.9 times EBITDA at the end of 23 and 2.4 times EBITDA. So one of the differences in our company with a market cap of 17 to 21 million is that we're growing, we're spinning off high levels of EBITDA. We're also increasing our net income, 610,000 in 23, 2.2 million in 24. Our earnings per share, 10 cents in 23, 33 cents in 24. Our fully diluted stock price at the end of the year was 2.238 at the end of 23, 319 at the end of 24. Our PE ratio is shrinking. I think the market is undervaluing our company, but that's just my opinion. That's why I believe we're different, a microcap of a microcap. We're growing our revenues, we're growing our profitability. What do? We provide radiation therapy equipment. This is very capital intensive equipment. We buy it from the OEM. and we either lease it
And then I need to.
or we install it in one of our own radiation therapy centers and perform the service, the treatment itself, on the cancer patient. The leasing, we got two segments. The leasing segment is where we're just leasing this equipment to the healthcare systems, usually under a flexible or creative type lease. Maybe it's a per unit, per use type arrangement. Maybe it's a percentage of revenue that the hospital collects that we get as part of our lease arrangement with that healthcare facility. That segment is growing, or I'm sorry, it's shrinking. That's not our emphasis today. Our emphasis is on direct patient care services. We're growing that revenue stream, $3.4 million in 23, over $12.5 million in 24. In May of 24, we acquired 3 radiation therapy centers, each with its own linear accelerator, or LINAC. A linear accelerator costs about $2.5 to $3.5 million. We have it installed. It treats the, I'll say, the bread and butter. There's no bread and butter cancer, but the typical cancers that are treated, most of them can be very reliably treated with a linear accelerator that uses photons, PHOTON. We initiated patient care services at our new LINAC site in Puebla, Mexico in the third quarter of 24. We have a very strong balance sheet. How many microcaps of microcaps have in excess of $10 million cash on their balance sheet? I don't think there are too many. If you look at our tangible equity per share, we got at 12/31/24, little over 25 million of shareholders' equity. We only have 1.3 million of intangible assets. That's it. We got a very hard asset balance sheet. Our tangible equity per share at the end of December 24 was $3.56. Tangible. We've invested it in all this capital equipment. We're generating a return on that investment. We have tremendous opportunities. Our pipeline has been never bigger in my experience with the company. I took over as executive chairman and CEO about 5 years ago, after our founder, Dr. Ernest Bates, decided to retire 5 years ago at the ripe age of 81 years old. He since passed away early last year, and his son, Dr. Ernest Bates Jr., is still with us. He's our vice president of international business. We have opportunities in Rhode Island. We acquired 3 radiation therapy centers in Rhode Island. We've obtained a certificate of need in Rhode Island, which is required for any extensive capital investment in healthcare equipment in the state, to open a 4th radiation therapy center in the eastern side of Rhode Island, which has no radiation therapy services in that portion of the state. Most importantly, we've acquired a CON for a proton beam. We'll talk about proton beams here in a minute. There's only 43 such centers in the United States, and we have a certificate of need from the state to open its first and more than likely only proton beam radiation therapy center in the state of Rhode Island. That proton beam radiation therapy center will be the only one between New York City and Boston. Our proton beam concept is a $50 or $60 million CapEx. Proton beams are very expensive. We'll break that down in a minute. In concept, proton beam is conceptually better than photon therapy. I explained a bit, photons are what linear accelerators emit radiation, photons. And now we're talking protons. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Craig to talk about proton beam radiation therapy.
Thank you, Ray. I'll explain to you the clinical advantages of proton therapy. They're a heavier particle, and what happens is proton beams go directly to the target cells, the target tumors, and deposit all their radiation at the tumor site with no exit dose. So it's less harmful to healthy tissue than photons, which are emitted by linear accelerators. With a photon radiation therapy treatment, there is the beam going through the target into some healthy tissue, so that it does emit more radiation to healthy tissue than protons do. And as Ray mentioned, proton beam radiation therapy does not have a trailing emission of radiation. As Ray did mention, it's a very expensive technology, 50 to 60 million, and there are only about 43 PBRT centers in the United States currently. Right.
Thank you, Craig. I read the other day an interesting fact about nuclear energy in this country. There's 93 nuclear reactors in the United States. There's only 43 proton beam radiation therapy centers. Not every state, obviously, has a proton beam. Our CapEx model for a proton beam project, like in Rhode Island, is about a $60 million CapEx. We break that down between $30 million for the facility, which includes the vault that this system, this piece of equipment goes into, and then $30 million for the system, the equipment itself. We do not anticipate putting up the $30 million with respect to the facility or the vault. We would like to have construction and development financed by a construction company, and then have it turned over to a REIT. And then our proton beam radiation therapy center would lease that facility from the REIT. So we don't need to come up with the $30 million for the facility. The $30 million for the equipment itself, we are interested in bringing up that capital investment and investing in that system. In Rhode Island, we have relationships with the 3 largest healthcare systems in the state. This is going to be the only proton beam system in the state. We believe those healthcare systems would be interested in working with us on this huge project in the state of Rhode Island. We currently have relationships, equity relationships, with the 2nd largest and 3rd largest healthcare systems. The 3 radiation therapy centers that we acquired last May, we acquired a 60% interest in each of those 3 centers. And we have 2 partners, a 20% owner from the 2nd largest healthcare system in the state, Care New England, and a 20% interest by the 3rd largest healthcare system in the state, Charter Care, Prospect Charter Care. The largest healthcare system is also interested in working with us. We recently announced that we signed a professional services agreement with that largest healthcare system, which is now called Brown Health, from Brown University in Rhode Island. And we have a professional services agreement with Brown Health. They would be providing the radiation oncologists, so the staffing of radiation oncologists at our 3 radiation therapy centers. We want to work together in a very collaborative fashion to bring this great technology to the state of Rhode Island. So we believe this $30 million CapEx on the system can be mitigated by potential equity investments from other interested parties. And then we would probably finance the remaining portion, 70 or 80%, with debt financing. We ought to be able to get a loan based on the pro forma of that project for at least 70 or 80%. We would remain at least a majority owner so that we can control, own, and operate it in the manner that our experienced team's capable of doing. We got opportunities internationally. We have the only gamma knife in the country of Peru. What is a gamma knife? It's non-invasive. I'm never like the word knife in the description of that product. It's non-invasive, and it is the gold standard to treat brain tumors with radiation. Gamma knives kill less of the surrounding tissue than a linear accelerator using photon technology would kill. So gamma knives, the gold standard for treating brain tumors. When you're treating brain tumors, you want to not kill the surrounding tissue in that situation. We have the only gamma knife in the country of Peru. We have the only gamma knife in the country of Ecuador. In Puebla, we have a linear accelerator. And we have announced an agreement at San Javier Hospital in Guadalajara to provide the first gamma knife in Mexico that will be the latest and greatest model of a gamma knife. It's called an Esprit. This would be there's only currently 2 gamma knives in Mexico. A third one has been announced, probably start treating patients in another year or 2. You know, if you look out 2 years, there'll be 3 gamma knives in Mexico. Why is this all important? You know, Peru's got 1 gamma knife for 34 million people. Ecuador's got 1 gamma knife for 18 million people. Guadalajara will be one of 3 gamma knives 2 years from now. Mexico has a population of 130 million. As a reference, there's 112 gamma knives in the United States. There's 1 gamma knife in the United States for about 3 million people. The opportunity for greater utilization in these countries of Peru, Ecuador, and Mexico is tremendous, in my opinion. We also are looking at other opportunities, international, but focusing on North and South America. In the United States, we have Rhode Island and the CONs that for the 4th linear accelerator in Rhode Island and for the proton beam. We got tremendous other potential to leverage those healthcare relationships to expand our level of services. We're pursuing joint ventures, not leasing arrangements. We have 6 so-called healthy gamma knife sites in the United States. 5 of those 6, within the last 2 years, have signed long-term extensions. Those 5 relationships have a real long revenue runway ranging from an expiration date over 4 years from now in 29 and 2 that expire in 1237. We got 12 years worth of revenue streams left to run on those gamma knife leasing arrangements. We also are very interested in acquisitions. We did an acquisition in May. Our team is very experienced in those types of business opportunities. Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Yeah, so radiation center that you opened in Rhode Island. So I understand that each one of these centers is entirely different. And so what do you intend on focusing on and why?
Well, there's 3 radiation therapy centers that we have now in Rhode Island. They are offering radiation treatment using a linear accelerator with photon, bread and butter type treatment. And the 4th one is going to be using the same type of equipment, a LINAC. And then we have the proton beam that approximately 20% of all cancer cases are best treated using photons. Is that? Well, I think there's the population of Rhode Island is 1.1 million. It'll be the only proton system in Rhode Island. And we believe that we can capture market share from Massachusetts up north and No, very general. Craig, do you want to talk about the types of cancers that are typically treated? Sure. Using protons.
Both photons and protons could treat the tumors throughout the body. What we see is there's a demand for protons, especially with pediatric patients, because they're less exit dose for children. It's very important because they're going to have a very long lifespan. You don't want secondary cancers to develop. So we think if you look at it, as Ray mentioned, of the cases that get radiation, about 20% of those cases would benefit from protons. And protons can treat central nervous system tumors, lung tumors, breast tumors, OBGYN tumors, and prostate tumors. So they both can treat them, but we believe that protons does have an advantage for certain tumors and as it goes to the cure rate and as the complication rates.
Give us like the high level economic, bottom line, what it looks like on this.
Well, we'll generate a really good return. That's about all I can say. I'm hesitant to give any forward-looking statement. We've got a very seasoned, experienced team. We're bringing all this talent and capability. The talent we brought into our organization just the last 12 or 18 months has just been unbelievable. And we've been a public company now for over 40 years. And a lot of public companies, when they do their IPO, there's a lot of excitement and so forth. And now here we are 40 years, since going public. How do we create that excitement again? And we're trying to do so. But, we're thinly traded stock. Our typical trading time is like 10 to 15,000 shares a day. We were being allowed into it a couple of years ago. As I describe it, someone came up, social media, Robinhood, let's buy American shares. Our stock went up to like $5 or $6, and then, it went back down to its normal levels within about a week or two.
When these centers open up, is there a ramp up, or is it pretty much there's so much pent-up demand out there, you'll fillers and you're kind of 67% already?
There is a ramp up. We're a long-term investor. If you're private equity and looking for a return over 2, 3, 4 years, we're probably not the right investment for you. We're a long-term play. So I'll just put that out there right now. Our business model is very long-term oriented. When we get the Gamma Knife leasing segment agreements, they're typically 10 years in nature. And one feature of where we're diverting our business model into doing joint ventures, radiation therapy centers, we own and operate that center ourselves. There's no contract expirations, okay, on those situations. We'll be providing Gamma Knives in Peru for a very long time.
So can you talk about the insurance reimbursement?
Yeah, so Craig, I'll let you cover reimbursement.
What is the question specifically? Yeah, for the Gamma Knives, it's longstanding. The tumors are reimbursed. For Medicare, for protons, it's the reimbursement's about for the delivery code about $1,300 a fraction, and typically there are about 25 fractions given for a patient. It's for commercial payers. A lot of them are now covering protons based on the clinical efficacy, but there's still some that you have to battle to get the commercial payers to reimburse you for. There's a code. Yeah, there's definitely a code. It's a matter of whether the insurance company agrees whether it should be a proton treatment or a photon treatment. So there's still more clinical work that needs to be done to do that, but I think we're starting to see an evolution where more and more of these cases are being reimbursed.
we're not as greatly exposed to that risk. Our biggest risk, our business model is dependent on number of patients treated, the number of times our Gamma knife is utilized. So that's the bigger factor, the quantity, not the price. The biggest risk is quantity. Okay, volume. And we're very confident. This technology is wonderful. We're making it more accessible to the general public. We're a long-term play. It'll happen. Okay, thank you.